Hi everybody, Golden Era Bookworm here. Today I'd like to review Arnold, an unauthorized biography of Arnold Schwarzenegger written by Wendy Leigh, who was a journalist back in the 90s, I guess. This book is rather infamous in that Wendy Leigh, after doing much of her own research, actually goes to show the darker side of Arnold Schwarzenegger. In summary, I can just basically say that this book, although a very interesting read, I know that Arnold was sued. Wayne tried to sue, and eventually, I don't think he won, but he actually got Wendy Leigh to apologize for stating that he was pro-Nazi. Because in this book, not only does Wendy Leigh state that that Arnold was basically a pro-Nazi follower, but she actually goes on to talk about many things that I guess one could argue whether they are true or not. And this is why I say it's an interesting read, but overall I will take everything that she would say in this book with a grain of salt, because it's really unknown whether this is true or not. I mean, she's a journalist and she did interview a lot of people from the bodybuilding world and from the, I guess, Hollywood. People that interviewed Arnold, that knew Arnold personally. So perhaps part of it is true, I would say, but also part of it is probably not true. The book itself is about 300 pages long, and it's a great summary here. This little paragraph in the jacket, where it states, "Journalist Wendy Leigh goes beyond the public image and explores Arnold's troubled boyhood." This is basically the first part of the book, where she tries to actually formulate Arnold's troubled boyhood, which was basically instigated by her father, by his father, who preferred Meinhard, his older brother that later passed away through a car accident. So basically, she's trying to make you understand in this book that Arnold had often, I would say, a very cruel father who was a very dominant, and he would basically pitch his brother against him, and this competition within his family, having to constantly prove himself, made him this ambitious person that he eventually became, always having to try and please his father and his family. As stated there, his tortured relationship with his father. Further on, she goes on to talk about, for example, I think it's on page 27. I've shown you this page before in one of my previous videos, that Arnold, for example, started using, Arnold confided to him, I think to a certain person, Rick Wayne or somebody else, to Rick Wayne. So you can see, according to fellow bodybuilder Rick Wayne, steroids were a big part of Arnold's life in 1966, when he offered Wayne a month's supply of Dianabol. Wayne also says Arnold confided to him that he had been taking steroids since the age of 13. I highly doubt that, because why would a 13-year-old take steroids, especially when he hasn't even started bodybuilding or watched a movie with Reeves or Reg Parker's Hercules? So I know Arnold started bodybuilding at the age of around 15 or 16, so that I think is ridiculous. But yeah, so there's some things here that, as I said, you can believe probably, and others are probably too unbelievable. It's obvious that Arnold took steroids. He's admitted it himself, but start at the age of 13 I think is a bit crazy. His sexual exploits are also talked about here, and this is, I guess, rather funny. Basically the chapter Florida and California talks about how he basically used to just walk up to women, as you read here. For example, in this part here, Arnold announces to some lady that he just wants to F her, and the girl basically, so some of the friends try and say, oh, he doesn't understand our ways, he's foreign, but the girl doesn't care, and she says, no, let him talk, and basically Arnold got what he wanted. Eventually he starts using this technique, and it becomes very famous among all the bodybuilders, that basically Arnold just goes, I want to sleep with you, to any girl anywhere he met him, anywhere he basically met, or even more so, I want to F you, like, you know, would you like to F? And basically he would just, a lot of girls back in the 60s found him irresistible, and he'd just basically have a shag fest in the States. Yeah, and also talks about how he loved, yeah, there's a lot of stories in this book about his practical jokes, and also his, I guess, his feud with Sylvester Stallone, and love affair with Bridget Nielsen, and many other things. It's a very scandalous book, I would have to say, on the life of Arnold Schwarzenegger. There are also some great photos. These are very glossy, using glossy paper, where she tries to portray again the Nazi, the pro-Nazi following by his father. And again, there's this whole Nazi theme in the book about Arnold, which again he tried to sue Wendy Leigh over, and eventually got an apology from her. But the book is still out, so it was never retracted. Again, there's some great shots of Arnold. Yeah, this book is falling apart. As you can see, some pretty cool photos. Also talks about, obviously, his relationship with Maria, and the famous Mr. Olympia comeback, as well as his time in, so his early years, I guess, in Hollywood. Overall, if you're an Arnold fan and are more interested in finding out about Arnold Schwarzenegger, about the rumors about his sexual exploits and all these other things, I would recommend, I guess, reading about it, but I wouldn't necessarily say that it is a book that you would have to believe everything that is written. It's fun to read, yes. Is it true? I don't know. I'm not Arnold, and I know that Arnold has basically said that this book is not true. But I still think it's a good read, it's a fun read, and it gets a thumbs up from me. Hope you've enjoyed this review. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. Leave me a comment, and thank you for watching. This is the Golden Era Bookworm. Bye for now.